Hello students, today we will talk about glaucoma. Now glaucoma is a disease that damages the eye's optic nerve. It usually happens when the fluid builds up in the front part of the eye. So that extra fluid increases pressure in the eye, damaging the optic nerve. Now there are two types, as you can see in the diagram: open angle glaucoma and narrow angle glaucoma. Now open angle glaucoma, it is also called primary open angle glaucoma. Here this is the most common type, and this happens gradually. You can see the canal of Schlemm from where the aqueous humor drains. Now here what is happening, the eye does not drain the fluid as it should do. Okay, so like a clog drain you can imagine. So what is happening, the eye pressure will build up and it will start damaging the optic nerve. This type of glaucoma is painless and this will cause no vision loss. So because this drainage is partially blocked, it will increase the intraocular pressure. Now we see the other type, that is the narrow angle glaucoma, or it is also called as angle closure glaucoma. Now this happens when someone's iris is very close to the drainage angle in their eye. So the iris can end up blocking the drainage angle. Now when the drainage angle gets completely blocked, the eye pressure rises very quickly, and this is called as acute attack. So in the angle closure glaucoma, you can see in the diagram the iris is bulging forward to the narrow, and partially it will block the drainage angle. Now if we see, let us see the drugs which are used. The drugs used in the treatment of glaucoma, one is atropine. Atropine is a naturally occurring belladonna alkaloid that can be extracted from plants such as deadly nightshade, Atropa belladonna, and this is a competitive antagonist of all the 5 muscarinic receptors. We have discussed in previous video of cholinergic drugs, M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. These are the cholinergic receptors. Now when it is administered systemically, it antagonizes rest and digest effect produced by the parasympathetic nervous system. In the numerous medicinal uses, including temporary relief of bradycardia or AV block, this is also used as antidote for cholinesterase poisoning or by poisoning containing muscarine. Then we have scopolamine. This is a belladonna alkaloid which is well absorbed and this readily crosses blood-brain barrier much more than atropine and most of the belladonna alkaloids. This is commonly used for preventing motion sickness and the use of opioid analgesia. Then the third drug we have is tropicamide. These are the short-acting antimuscarinics which are commonly applied as eye drop prior to retinal exams, and they produce mydriasis by causing the contraction of the iris sphincter muscle, which is under the control of parasympathetic nervous system. Sometimes they are co-administered along with the eye drops containing sympathomimetic like a phenylephrine, which also produce mydriasis by contraction of the dilator or the radial muscle of the iris, which are under sympathetic control. About ipratropium bromide, this is a quaternary analog of atropine which is used in the inhaled dosage form for preventing the bronchospasm associated with the COPD and asthma, that is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. We have glycopyrrolate, that is a quaternary analog of atropine, used most commonly as a pre-operative medication to reduce salivary and respiratory secretions in combination with neostigmine to reverse the effect of non-depolarizing skeletal muscle relaxants like pancuronium at the end of surgery. We have miscellaneous. Numerous prescription and OTC medications have anticholinergic properties or side effects. While the impact of the single drug is relatively small, the cumulative effect of multiple drugs taken concomitantly, say for different clinical indications, can be significant, especially the elderly patients. The drugs which are used in the myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is a condition where the muscles become easily tired and weak. This is the problem with how the nerves stimulate the muscles to tighten or contract. Now, this disease particularly affects, this is an autoimmune disorder affecting, say, 1 in 1000 population. And this is because of the development of the antibodies directed to the nicotinic receptors. Now, the muscle around the eyes, they are commonly affected first, and this causes drooping of the eyelid and double vision. We can see in the diagram you have a muscle tissue which is shown, and you have the nerve innervation. The muscle is supplied by the nerve that splits. You can see in the smaller nerves that spread along the muscle fiber. Now the small portion has been enlarged and shown. Now we can see the nerve endings and then the muscle. You have the gap between the end of the nerves and the surface of the muscle. We call this gap as a neuromuscular junction. Now the brain sends messages down the nerves to the muscle. It wants to tighten. So this is what happening normally, contraction. The nerve endings release a chemical called neurotransmitter into the neuromuscular junction, and this neurotransmitter, we know this is acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine will quickly attach to the receptors or the muscle, and that in turn trigger the muscle to tighten. So you can see there are many receptors on the each muscle fibers. Okay, so some receptors are stimulated by acetylcholine, but because of the formation of antibodies, some receptors are blocked or some are damaged. Okay, so this process cannot happen in the normal way, and that will cause the disease condition. Let us talk about the drugs used in the treatment of myasthenia gravis. We have anticholinesterase inhibit medicines. Now we have discussed what is acetylcholine and what is anticholinesterase. Anticholinesterase is the enzyme which breaks down acetylcholine. Okay, so now these anticholinesterases, they will delay the breakdown of acetylcholine when it is released from nerve endings. Most of the acetylcholine will be available now to compete against the abnormal antibodies for the muscle receptor that will improve the strength of the muscle. The most commonly prescribed anticholinesterase is pyridostigmine. Another option is removal of the thymus. Thymectomy can improve the symptoms in some people with myasthenia gravis. Then we have steroids. Steroid medication like prednisolone tablet is often used in the treatment of myasthenia gravis. Steroids suppress the immune system, and they prevent the abnormal antibodies from being made at low dosage on alternate days often. This is enough for the people who have the symptom only affect the muscle around the eye, and higher dosage may be required to prevent the symptoms if the muscles are other than around eyes are affected. Once improved, the dose has to be reduced gradually, and the lowest dose needed to prevent the symptoms should be found out. Then we have immunosuppressant medicines. Example is azathioprine, which is advised in addition with the steroids. They work by suppressing the immune system because there is formation of the antibodies. So that is a mechanism of action. Now also we have combination of medicines. A steroid plus immunosuppressant tends to work better than either alone. This is to reduce the side effects of the steroids. And finally we have the interaction of the other drugs. Some drugs interfere with the neuromuscular transmission and they exacerbate symptoms of myasthenia gravis. These most often include the aminoglycoside antibiotics, beta-adrenal receptor antagonist, phenytoin, chloroquine, and penicillamine. I would like to stress upon chloroquine because this is a drug which is nowadays used as a prophylaxis. I mean, they are trying to find its efficacy in corona. Now, the side effect, it is said that it is in the side effect is it will exacerbate the condition of myasthenia gravis, because what is happening, there is a altered sensitivity to the neuromuscular junction blockers with the increased response to the competitive neuromuscular blockers. So the precaution is to be taken for the patients who have the myasthenia gravis.